What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into NFL Daily Special 2018 NFL Schedule Release Edition. Cam Rogers coming at you alongside Tom Downey. Don't worry, he's working his sources right now. He's getting all the games set for you guys.
This has to happen. I'm sorry.
We are going to reveal, ladies and gentlemen, all of the games for the 2018 NFL season. As our sources contact us, as we get the information, we will get you guys the schedule. We are live here on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We thank you for coming along for the ride. Before we get into all the information about the schedule, let's get into the latest NFL rumors here, and we'll start things off with Tom Brady. Does he want a new contract? This report coming from NBC Sports up there in New England. Tom, we're giving this 3 Goodell heads here.
This one does seem pretty likely because Brady wants to play beyond just his next 2 years, and in years past, when he's hit year 2 of his contract, he tries to redo it and get something different in there. So I think it makes some sense.
All right, so this originally, we first heard about Tom Brady with the whole situation in terms of not being committed about playing for 2018. According to reports, he spoke with teammates, or teammates at least believe that he is going to play. He's not going to retire. I mean, it's just not.
He's not. No, he's going to play this year, and that was maybe never in doubt. That's the reason we only gave it the 1 head. Maybe he tries to do something crazy, but we didn't think that was going to happen. So 3 heads on this one.
All right, let's get to rumor number 2 here. Kendell Beckwith, is he going to be out in week 1? Beckwith, excuse me.
Well, maybe. This one is very much in that rumor category because we don't really know what the future is for Beckwith because as we sit right now, he suffered a broken ankle in a car accident. Now, thankfully, he is okay long term. He's okay, but he did require ankle surgery, so kind of sounds like a relatively severe car accident. He is going to at least miss training camp, possibly more. We don't know if he's going to be out for week 1, but it is very much a possibility as we sit right now.
All right, let's get to the next rumor on our list. Cowboys, are they not taking Courtland Sutton in that first round of the NFL draft?
This one is more in that rumor category, but I wouldn't be all that surprised if it did go down because what the report from Tony Pauline is, who is a very reliable source, is that the Cowboys don't view him as a round 1 talent. Now, with that said, just because you're not a round 1 grade or a round 1 talent, that doesn't mean you're not going to go in round 1 because NFL teams do not hand out 32 round 1 grades. There are actually at times far fewer. It's more in the high teens or the mid-teens instead. So don't be overly surprised when you see Sutton go in round 1. Just because he's being given a round 2 grade doesn't mean he's not going to be a first-round pick. So that's what's going on there. I could still see a scenario, namely if the Cowboys trade down and take somebody else later in round 1, or they move back up in round 2 or something. I'm not ruling out Sutton in round 1, but he is not among my top or most likely options for the Cowboys early on. I'm either going to look more for a DJ Moore or a Leighton Vander Esch even.
All right, 2 Goodell heads on that one. Let's get to rumor number 4 here. Are the Browns drafting 2 quarterbacks, Tom, in that first round, maybe? No.
Don't get your hopes up on this one. We're going to give this one just the 1 head. Maybe at one point the Browns did consider drafting 2 quarterbacks early, pulling that Redskins plan. They went RG3 Kirk Cousins because, that worked out so well for them.
I see in the notes here, Tom, all caps, it won't happen.
Yeah, you like my notes.
I love
my
your
notes are very blunt, and I'm not always as blunt on air. So, look, Cleveland has a bunch of first or second round picks, but they have Tyrod Taylor. They have Drew Stanton. I don't think it makes much sense for the Browns to take 2 QBs early. They've got other more important needs. So don't get your hopes up on that one if those of you that for some reason, would want 2 quarterbacks early.
Yeah, the report was that they had discussions about it, and it's not surprising that they at least talked about it. Doesn't mean they're actually going to do it.
I think NFL teams will always discuss a lot more things than people realize, but it doesn't mean they're actually going to do it. Right. So just because you hear teams discuss things doesn't mean it was a long, in-depth discussion. It might have been, hey, you go research this. Sorry to waste time. We're not going to do it. Exactly. That's what I think happened here.
All right, let's check in with some more draft buzz here.
Hey,
Are the
we're
Packers
a week away.
Going with a defensive back in that first round?
2 heads on this one. It's almost 3 for me. And again, Tony Pauline, who's a very credible draft analyst, he throws out a couple names to monitor. Minkah Fitzpatrick and Josh Jackson, both of whom I believe we had listed as potential Packers targets earlier this week on a recent NFL Daily. The Packers, because they traded away Demarius Randall, because they told us because the Packers have shown interest in other guys, I think it makes sense. Their edge rusher also a need. But remember, Mike Pettina's scheme has tended to prefer talented corners over talented edge rushers here. So that's what I'm looking at for. Their top target, I think it makes sense in general, is Denzel Ward. Packers at 14 is Denzel Ward's floor. I don't think he gets to that point. I think he goes earlier, be it to even, Bears, Raiders, Niners, Dolphins, even someone above that. But I do see a scenario where maybe someone of the Harold Landry, Minkah Fitzpatrick ilk is available. You're going to have multiple quarterbacks. Let's just say 4 go in the top 14. You're going to see Nelson go. You're going to see Barkley go. You're going to see both linebackers go. You're going to see a cornerback go. I think you'll see Vita Vea go. All of a sudden, you're going to see Derwin James go. All of a sudden, there's a real scenario where maybe it's Minkah, maybe it's Landry is available for Green Bay. I think they can get one of those guys with Marcus Davenport or Josh Jackson being their worst-case scenario at number 14 overall.
I do believe Denzel Ward is very tempting there for Packers leadership.
Oh, if they could get him, they'll take him in a heartbeat. Yeah. No doubt about that one.
All right, let's get to rumor number 6. Are the Dolphins going to go with Leighton Vander Esch as their backup plan at 11?
Just a one head. I think this is their backup to the backup plan. The report was that they would consider Leighton Vander Esch if their top 2 guys, who, as reported before in NFL Daily, are Roquan Smith and Tremaine Edmonds. They want one of those 2 guys. If they don't get them, they'll look at maybe a Denzel Ward or a Minkah Fitzpatrick, or I think a more likely backup plan, Vita Vea. If Vita Vea is on the board, Smith and Edmonds are off, I think the Dolphins take Vea at number 11 overall, and they more fully replace here their top linebacker, or their top defensive tackle, and Ndamukong Suh is now, of course, gone. So I think Vander Esch is a backup plan. I think there's a real chance he doesn't even get to the Cowboys pick at number 19 overall. I think the Dolphins could do it. I think.
How bad of a reach would that be, though?
I'm not going to have that high, so I'm going to view it as a reach, but I get why he's going to go straight. It's really a similar ilk to Tremaine Edmonds. He's just not as young and maybe a little bit better right now as a football player based on production. Vander Esch has the upside you want because he's a freak athlete, but he is still a little bit raw as well.
All right, let's get to rumor number 7 on our list here. Are the Broncos trading down from number 5 overall? John Elway said he's open for business.
Well, he very much declared that, yes, we are open for business, but also said, hey, we could trade up, we could stand pat. So
we could do anything.
He's stating the obvious. Of course the Broncos are open for business. Every NFL team, even the Browns at number 1, the Jets at number 3 even, are open for business. But their asking price is so astronomically high, no one's going to do it. So the Broncos are a prime team that could elect to trade up or trade down, or more likely trade down, if they don't love any of the quarterbacks. And I'm starting to suspect maybe they don't love all the quarterbacks.
I don't think they do, Tom.
I think they would love Baker Mayfield. The Jets, I think, are going to get Baker Mayfield. So if Rosen slides, if Allen slides, maybe the Bills or Dolphins or somebody else leapfrogs up into that top 5. Broncos trade down. They get a corner and a guard later on in the draft.
The word is the Broncos have a core of quarterbacks that they're focusing on, and if that core kind of dissipates before number 5 overall, perhaps they do trade back.
Maybe. So I think it's going to be very curious to see what ends up happening with the Denver Broncos. I think if they stand pat, it's either a quarterback or they'll end up taking Quentin Nelson instead, who is an absolutely fantastic player at offensive guard.
Speaking of trading back, how about the Eagles? Sounds like Eagles leadership's willing to move back too.
Two heads here again because it also makes sense. And the Eagles GM Howie Roseman said, yeah, we are open for business. But again, it's the same type of mindset here. Every NFL team is open for business. Whether or not they make a trade is up for debate. I will say this, though, with the Eagles, it makes sense for them in particular. They have no second. They have no third-round pick. In that scenario, maybe you'd go ahead and try to trade down, get an extra second and a third, and then you accumulate more draft picks for yourself because at that point, you're able to fill out more needs. If you're the Eagles or the Seattle Seahawks, by the way, you're without some very key mid-round selections. If you don't have those available, what are you going to be able to do then?
You need draft capital.
Yeah, at that point, you do try to trade down if you're Philadelphia. I think that makes some sense to them. If they can do that, they can get more assets. They have the pick number 32 overall, of course, that last first-round pick. Their next selection isn't until 130. They have to wait almost 100 picks before their next selection in the NFL draft. So trading down makes a lot of sense. Maybe you make a deal with a team like, I don't know, maybe you try and move down with a team like the Giants. Potentially don't do individual stuff. Maybe the Colts could try and move back up into round 1 with all of their assets. They trade down, and they set themselves up for more picks on day 2.
You're watching NFL Daily. Cam Rogers here alongside Tom Downey, presented by Mizzen and Main. We're going through the rumors here. How about the Seahawks and Vita Vea? This is going to be tough because they're going to have to move up to get him, I think.
This is why it's just one head. They are going to meet with Vita Vea tonight. They're going to take him out to a nice little whining and dining, as NFL teams are apt to do. So there's definitely interest there. The issue is I don't find it very likely that the Seattle Seahawks are going to be able to get Vita Vea because they have to move up to get him. I do not see a scenario here where they're going to be able to stand pat and wait and then pick up Vita Vea, because I don't think he's going to last that long. I think he's going to be off the board in the top 13 pick. So if you're Seattle, you're going to have to trade up. And the issue is you don't have the assets to trade up at that point. You know, you don't have the pick value. You don't have a second or a third round pick. How are you going to move up from number 18 overall to get, let's say, number 11? You don't have the second round pick it would cost. Are you going to give up a future first or a future second for a nose guard? I love Vita Vea, but I am not giving up that much. When you're Seattle, you've got so many needs. If I'm Seattle, I would be much more likely to trade down and say, look, let's trade down. Let's get extra assets. Let's try and build out that depth of the roster, or move down from 18, even to say like 25, and get extra production there and be able to build that roster up. Because if you move up, you just don't have the attributes without sacrificing future picks to go do it. Just doesn't make sense for them.
All right, big-time piece of news to get into here, Tom. The Giants have cut Brandon Marshall. Had a season-ending ankle injury a year ago. He failed his physical. The Giants cut him. $5.15 million in cap savings, only about $1 million in dead money. So with that, Brandon Marshall is now a free agent. The Giants could perhaps go out and, shall we say, try to sign Dez Bryant. Apparently, Dez holds the Giants in high regard.
Dez wants to go play for the Giants because he wants to play against the Cowboys twice a year. This is very funny to me for Brandon Marshall, because if you follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney, you probably already saw my tweet on it, where here was the deal with Dez Bryant, because Brandon Marshall posted something on Instagram about Dez wanting to play for the Giants, and then Marshall, before deleting it, said, "Sorry, baby bro, no room," tagged at Dez Bryant. And then that put him in position where, you know, a couple of days later, Brandon Marshall has been released by the Giants, and I threw up the Jay-Z face there. So Brandon Marshall, this is not a surprise, though. Like, I don't know why Marshall was talking about how he was going to stick with the Giants.
Honestly, I'm shocked it took this long.
He had 18 catches, was hurt last year, was also released with a failed physical designation as well. $5.15 million in cap savings being saved to the Giants are tight on cap. It didn't make sense to the Giants to keep Brandon Marshall. It was more of a surprise of what's taking them so long.
Right.
It was inevitable. This is not much of a surprise here that the Giants have gone ahead and cut Brandon Marshall. He was a bust signing. Besides, Sterling Shepard, he's a really good player as well. So I don't think this is a big surprise for the Giants. Maybe he shouldn't have been there either.
All right, so Brandon Marshall, Tom, rattle off a couple teams here that you think maybe he could go visit and maybe sign with.
If I'm Brandon Marshall, I might call it a career.
Okay.
I think it might be a scenario where if you're Brandon Marshall, you have a very cushy job in position here to go join NFL Network. That's been a very common theme for Marshall. Maybe you call it a career. You know, maybe you go to a team like the Bills. The Bills need wide receiver help. Maybe it's whatever team that wants Dez Bryant but doesn't get him signs Brandon Marshall.
Perhaps, yeah.
Well, the Colts aren't trying to win right now, so maybe a veteran doesn't make a lot of sense. But the need is there, I think. So, but maybe they want a veteran guy. So we'll wait and see what happens to Brandon Marshall. But I think this might be the end of the line for him.